It's another hot and humid night. Temperature about 28 degrees for this opening Group B match between Peru and Paraguay in Cali. This Pascal Guerrero Stadium is a 45,000 sellout, and it really promises to be quite an atmosphere this evening. Yesterday we were served up that red-hot chili, followed by something tasty from Colombia. On the menu tonight, not only Peru-Paraguay, but later it's Brazil against Mexico. Only 6 teams have ever won the Copa America, but in the opening contest tonight, we have 2 of them. Peru and Paraguay have both lifted the cup twice, but not since the 70s. And Brian Marwood alongside me, all the turmoil of recent weeks. Brian, I wonder whether just maybe one of these 2 can go on and win it.
Well, of course, it's been difficult to prepare your sides accordingly because of the problems that they've endured coming into this tournament, but it is an opportunity. We've said that before. Most of the sides are certainly short of 1 or 2 big stars, but I guess that does give an opportunity for up-and-coming youngsters to try and make their mark, and tonight it's Paraguay against Peru. Of course, Paraguay lying second in their World Cup qualifying group. They no doubt will be favourites to beat Peru this evening. Peru is struggling, but they did have a credible draw against Brazil in April, so hopefully they can build upon that.
As for tonight's team news, well, they've been playing World Cup qualifiers, of course, but there are 9 changes to the Peruvian side that played Ecuador at the start of June, and 9 changes as well for Paraguay when they played against Chile. It really is a sign of how the squads have had to change and be adaptable.
Well, in one point, in one sense, Steve, is that you don't really get the consistency that you're looking for, because as a coach, you're trying to get a group of players together that you can build things with. That's not going to happen when you have to make the sort of changes that you've already highlighted. But already we've talked about opportunities, and you know, who knows, there may be 1 or 2 that will come out of this and certainly give the managers a problem, because it'll certainly put pressure on players that aren't here.
So what about Peru? Because they've been missing strikers along the way. They've had to bring in 1 or 2 youngsters. Peru in the white shirts with the red diagonal stripe. They've had to make some last-minute changes, which clearly won't have helped them.
No, it won't, and I think that they come into this game, as we talked about already, on the back of a very good draw in Brazil. They've tended to play 4-4-2 in the past, but this evening we do expect them to go with 5 at the back, 3 in midfield and 2 up front. So Paraguay will be very basic, I sense. I think that they are a very well organised side. They have got to second in the group, and because of that they will have a lot of confidence, and certainly having beaten Peru 5-0 later last year in November, they will be favourites to win this match tonight.
Number 3, Jose Soto, one of 2 brothers in the side. Jorge Soto is the other. Both Peru and Paraguay lost on penalties in the quarterfinals 2 years ago. Peru losing to Mexico, Paraguay defeated by Uruguay.
I think there's one thing to expect from the Peruvians, and we've seen time and time again over the years. They're very neat, they're very tidy, they're very skillful, and they love to build excellent passes together.
Good play that time by Hidalgo. Paraguay struggling to clear their lines. Tavarelli is the Paraguayan goalkeeper, of course. No Jose Luis Chilavert these days.
Well, I think it's always important for a goalkeeper very early to make a good save, and that's exactly what Tavarelli did. Of course, he's got incredible shoes to fill. Chilavert is such an imposing character, as you expect your goalkeepers to be. And Tavarelli, it's a good opportunity for him tonight to really make his mark.
Chance here for Isasi for Paraguay. Reminder that the top 2 teams from each group automatically progress, but the 2 best 3rd place teams will also go through. Isasi for Paraguay doing well there against El Solar.
Well, they'll certainly be encouraged when the right back is getting forward as much as he has already in this opening period. I think that clearly Paraguay, we've talked already about their organisational skills. They'll look to get the ball wide and try and exploit any weaknesses that Peru may well have in those full-back positions.
He's an experienced player, Isasi, as well. He made his debut some 6 years ago against Japan. Trying to play the offside trap here. very nearly got caught napping there, did Peru.
Well, it was a good save from Ibanez in the end, but really we talked about organisation skills of Paraguay. Peru certainly didn't show any when they came out from the corner. It's important as you come out as one, and really this is the opportunity that Ferreira had on his favoured left foot. You would have really expected him to convert that.
Clash of styles in many ways between these two nations. This time the flag is up. Ibanez clearly isn't too happy with his defenders right now.
No, I think they're nervous moments. I think clearly Peru will be more than aware that they are underdogs in this game. And I think it's important that they do settle very quickly. You know, we talked already about they love to just play the ball and pass in areas where certainly Paraguay probably attempt to play. They'll get the ball forward early and then look to play from the base from their strikers.
That's Peru's mistake. Paraguay well on course to qualify for the World Cup finals next summer. They're second behind Argentina in the South American group with 4 to qualify automatically.
Certainly high, wasn't it? I think that the referee is very strict. He's known and renowned as a disciplinarian.
Ferreira there just being checked by Salazar. Players in this Peru side who play their club football with Sporting Cristal.
Again, another example, Steve. You know, they don't look to just hit the ball into Rosette, do they? They want to play in dangerous areas, and they're going to have to be careful, because I'm sure Paraguay and their coach will be saying to their players, listen, you've got to close them down, you've got to work them very, very hard, because they will make mistakes in areas.
Certainly Peru missing so many of their key players. No Noel Solano, of course. Palacios, their playmaker, also absent. So too Maestri. Pizarro wasn't released by Bayern Munich. And in the last few days, Miranda, a goalkeeper, and Robosio, one of their key defenders, they also pulled out. He's playing in the left-back position for Paraguay tonight. We always associate South American teams with flair and style, but they're not frightened of being direct either.
No, and I think that's been fairly successful for them during their World Cup campaign, Paraguay. And I think that clearly they've hit on a good stream of form. It's certainly that form will look as if it will carry them through to the World Cup, and that's the most important task ahead of Paraguay at the moment. This is an opportunity for them just to try something a little bit different, and if they go out, well, you know, I think that it's an opportunity for the coach just to test 1 or 2 players in key areas.
Just working it across the back line. Sanabria. This is Caniza, plays in Argentina. He's only missed 3 of the 13 World Cup qualifiers that Paraguay have played. Paraguay, of course, were the hosts 2 years ago when Brazil beat Uruguay 3-0 in the final. This is Jorge Soto, the older of the 2 brothers. It was Ayo's challenge. Five of the Paraguay squad of 22 have been drawn from Cerro Porteño. 5 from Libertad. Needed players in the middle there, really, but he's forced the error from Peru.
Well, again, I think Paraguay have done very well, certainly in wide areas. Hidalgo really looking forward from Peruvian point of view, but Paraguay in the shape of Canizar on that left-hand side, Aseni on the right-hand side, they are trying to exploit any weaknesses that Peru may well have. I'm just playing with three centre-halves.
Certainly they've got plenty of bodies forward here, Paraguay. Sanabria just jostling there for position. Salazar almost like a silhouette, trying to keep him in check. Last time Paraguay won this tournament was back in 1979. That was well fisted away by the goalkeeper, but it's not over yet. It is now.
Well, it's a super ball, isn't it, from Saze, and I think that that again highlights the problems that Peru are facing in those full-back areas. It really is into the danger area, that sort of corridor of uncertainty, and it was Morenego who was breaking from midfield, who was really just trying to get on the end of that cross. He's got hurt for his troubles.
Certainly the Peruvian goalkeeper Ibanez has been a busy man in the opening exchanges.
Well, that really is a difficult one for goalkeepers and defenders to deal with, and it was important that Paraguay did get players into the danger area. Unfortunately, for Morengo, I think that he seems to have taken a knock towards his ankle, but again, Paraguay showing very good signs, especially in wide areas.
Del Solar block for Peru. Saw them play against Brazil in the World Cup qualifier last year, and Del Solar and Olivares, who's not figuring in the squad for this tournament, they were interchanging down the left-hand side. Minutes gone, 0-0. Sazi with the throw for Paraguay.
I think one of the disappointing aspects from a Peruvian point of view, Steve, will be the fact they haven't really got the ball down and played. I think we expected them to be very neat and tidy, and there has been glimmer of that, but at the moment it's Paraguay.
Good early cross as well. Two defenders almost colliding. They are retrieving it here for Paraguay, and a clever little bit of skill from the Paraguayan midfielder. But Peru so far finding it hard to break out of their own half.
Well, it's hard work for Peru out there at the moment. It's very warm, and they're having to defend in great numbers. Certainly 4 set pieces now, either corners or free kicks.
There was a time when you'd even see Chilavert going up for one of those.
You have to make a long run now.
He certainly would. He was the hero for Strasbourg this season in the French Cup final, but he made a great save, and then he scored the winning penalty to lift the French Cup. But he was critical of the way that the tournament was going to be hosted this year, and decided to pull out chances to others, notably Ricardo Tavarelli. Jorge Soto. Can't find with these South American sides that getting the ball off them is the hardest job of all. And Paraguay are playing some lovely stuff. Canizar. There was no one on the end of the pullback.
Well, it's wonderful flowing football from Paraguay. They really are the dominant side at the moment, Steve, and again it's coming through the fullbacks really trying to get forward into the last third. And once again it's Canizar. That's 3 or 4 occasions now on that left hand side. It's wonderful skill, he does everything right. Unfortunately, he's really looking to pick out the right player, and that didn't happen.
I think he was wondering whether Alvarenga might be following up there, but As you say, Brian, impressive start by the fullbacks. And it's Hasi. Paraguay have reached the quarterfinals for the last 3 Copas in a row.
Really haven't got to grips with the game, have they, Peru? Once again giving the ball away. It's been very frustrating for everybody connected with the Peruvians. Paraguay is so dominant at the moment. You know, they are creating chances.
Tell you what was interesting, the Peruvian coach has actually got his son as part of the squad this year.
But he's on a big bonus as well.
It's not bad when your dad's coach of the national team, is it? If only my dad had coached England. Aguero allowing it to run for Peru. It's a goal kick.
Well, just to see how Peru combat this. I think that they clearly have got a problem. We've talked already about the forceful running of the 2 fullbacks for Paraguay, but they don't look as if they're prepared to change their shape just yet, Peru.
Well, Peru really need some sort of a lift in Copa America this year. Their World Cup campaign has been fairly dismal, and well, they haven't reached the final since Spain in '82. Currently 8th in the South American group. They're 9 points behind the teams they need to catch, and they only have 5 games to go. Very much a rebuilding exercise for Coach Uribe at the moment. Ibanez again coming to Peru's rescue. They'll go. This time a chance to test Paraguay.
I think Lobaton's quite fortunate there. He went to ground very quickly indeed. Some strong defending there at the back. A little bit unfortunate for Sambrier, because it now has given Peru an opportunity to again find quality in from a wide area. Might just give them that edge they're looking for.
5 to aim at for Temponi. Abel Lobaton, the number 7 who went down to win that free kick. He was only given a late call-up after the withdrawal of Silva and Maestri from the squad. Was part of last year's Olympic qualifying tournament in Brazil as well.
It's difficult for him at the moment, Steve, because he's side under pressure, but he's playing up there on his own, and you know, we've already discussed that Paraguay are very strong defensively.
Against the crossbar, and it's turned back in. Peru take the lead, and it's the young man we were just talking about, Abel Lobaton.
Well, this is absolutely incredible, isn't it? Really, Peru have been under so much pressure in this opening period, and they get one opportunity, and Lobaton benefits from the ball coming back from the crossbar. And, well, that will be a big lift. We talked about the benefit of getting quality in from wide areas, and that's exactly what Peru did. Jorge Sote was the player that fired the cross in, and there you can see Lobaton. He can't believe his good fortune as that ball bounces back off the bar. Tavarelli has got no chance whatsoever to get back on his feet. There you can see the 2 defenders trying to block the opportunity, but the key was the ball into the box. It was an excellent run from midfield, and there was Lobaton taking full advantage of his opportunity. He wasn't going to miss that against the run of play. Much to the delight of the Peruvians, they find themselves 1-0 ahead.
Like a coiled rattlesnake, they've been waiting to pounce, and when they do strike, they really strike with venom. Temponi's header against the crossbar, Lobaton banging in the rebound, and Peru against the run of play lead Paraguay, the team ranked number 10 in the world.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? They haven't had any opportunities of note, and it was, as you've rightly identified, Steve, a wonderful header from Tempone, but what an excellent surge from him. He has, again, not really had too many opportunities to shine, but the front two there linking in a rather bizarre way, one heading the ball against the bar and the other one finishing astutely.
How will Paraguay react to that? Aguero is shown the yellow card. Well, he's lining up as if he's... Well, I wondered whether for a moment he might be thinking of going for some sort of blockbuster. In the end, the effort from Alvarenga has only served to give Peru a chance to counter. This is Lobaton, the goal scorer. Tempone. Peru now starting to turn the screw a little. Great perseverance by Mucho Trigo. Well, that's a bit of a shot for Paraguay.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how they recover, Steve. I think that they certainly have been a side that's been very much in form over the last 18 months, and they certainly wouldn't have expected to have gone 1-0 down, especially with the way that they dominated the early exchanges. But you know, we've seen it time and time again in football, don't we? And now it's about how well Paraguay can respond, and can Peru hang on? Can they gain confidence from that goal, and can they look to play their neat, tidy, skillful football?
Well, they visibly gained confidence, except for that pass, of course. There's the commentator's curse for you. You mustn't forget that it's one each in the two World Cup qualifiers between the two nations. Peru won the match in Lima in March last year by 2-0. Noel Solano, incidentally, of Newcastle United, scored the first, but November, Paraguay certainly gained their revenge with an emphatic 5-1 triumph in Asunción. And I mentioned Chilavert once or twice. He scored Paraguay's 5th. Canizar unleashing a fierce shot, but couldn't keep it down.
Well, he's certainly been one of Paraguay's most effective players so far. Here we can see the goal again. Goalkeeper has no chance whatsoever, not certainly with the initial header, and with the finish from Lobaton, he just could not get back up on his feet, Tavarelli.
Well, it's situations like this where reputations are made. Tempone is down injured, but well, when opportunity knocks, occasionally someone walks through the door, and certainly Lobaton has done exactly that.
Well, again, you know, we talked about Peru's frailties, the fact that they haven't really been that prolific from a goal scoring point of view, Steve. It will be a huge boost that they've scored so early in this game.
They're often renowned as being fairly lightweight opposition. They've often lacked defensive solidarity to win matches when it really matters. Trigo working hard in midfield to set Peru off on another attack, and they've got a bit of space to shoot here. Well, my goodness me, Paraguay seem to back off and back off.
Well, the change really in both sides' performances is incredible, really, through the fact that that goal was scored by Lobaton. It was a very surging run indeed from the number 11 from Peru, Mucho Trigo, and I think that now you can see they're gaining confidence by the minute. Paraguay just struggling really to get to grips, and certainly not as effective as they were in the opening 10 minutes.
Mentioned Paraguay, ranked number 10 in the world. Peru these days, number 57. Oh, a chance and an equaliser! It's 1-1.
Well, it's only surprising, really, and it's come in the shape of Ferreira. He's had one chance already with his left foot, and certainly he muffed the opportunity. This time he wasn't going to make any mistake whatsoever, and I'm not surprised. Paraguay have been the better side. They did take a little bit of dent in their confidence, but this is a wonderful break on the left-hand side, and it's Hi-Ho that really just helps the ball back into the danger area. Some messy defending there, really. When you've got two defenders around the ball, you're looking for them to be dominant, you're looking for them to clear the situation, and Ferreira just really needs the touch to control, and that was what set it up, Steve. It was a wonderful touch out of his feet. I guess it wasn't the cleanest of strikes. The goalkeeper's read his initial attempt, but it doesn't really matter how they go on. That really has got Paraguay back into the game.
And all credit to Hi-Ho as well for creating that opportunity. The little stumble by the Peruvian defender gave Ferreira the chance. He's a 28-year-old who plays with Cerro Porteño, one of the most successful clubs in Paraguay. He was part of the Pre-Olympico under-23 squad a while back as well, so he's a player with an eye for the big stage.
Well, again, it's no surprise that A, Paraguay scored, but B, the fact that it's come into wide areas. Hi-Ho was the one that benefited, but there you can see the two defenders. There's some messy defending, really, because Ferreira, the one player in the box against the two Peruvian centre-halves, and they just haven't dealt with the cross from Hi-Ho.
Tempted to say that Hi-Ho had a silver lining.
I was wondering when you were going to attempt. At 24 minutes, you've done very well, Steve.
Well, we wondered what sort of response we'd get from Paraguay. There's your answer. And defensively, Peru have looked vulnerable despite that goal from Lobaton, which clearly gave them increased confidence. Lobaton, Peru's goal scorer. That's neatly done, the flag's up. Watched by Juan Cáceres. The assistant referees tonight, by the way, from Ecuador and Colombia. Promising break here for Paraguay, and they've forced another corner.
Well, again, it's no surprise, is it? And Lobaton there just really berating the referee. He felt he'd been infringed, but again, Paraguay opportunities arising in wide areas. Again, it's on that left-hand side, and again, it's Canazar making good effect.
5 Paraguayan players to aim at. Always a tough one to keep under control. Peru and Paraguay, nations separated by Bolivia. Peru, an Andean country on the west coast of South America. Paraguay bordered by Argentina, Bolivia and Brazil. And at the moment there's nothing to separate them on the night. It's another promising break forward. Peru looking stretched once more.
Oh, they've got a problem. The three centre-halves for Peru are too narrow, Steve. That really is the way that Paraguay are exploiting them. The full-backs are really not funneling back in and making it a solid 5, and the three centre-halves, because they're so narrow, the two strikers are keeping them together. It's allowing space into wide areas, and really Paraguay again are exploiting it to great value.
Did by Hidalgo. That's a Paraguay throw.
It's poor marking from Peru, and I think that it's something that the coach Uribe will be very disappointed. Here we can see the goal again. Ferreira with his left foot perhaps hasn't struck it as well, but the one thing that matters is it finds itself in the back of the net.
defended by Hidalgo against Alvarenga. Well, Peru, Paraguay now, but a little bit later on tonight, of course, the tournament favourites, Brazil, are in action. And what a mouth-watering prospect that should be. Brazil against Mexico coming up a little bit later on for you. Peru and Paraguay met in the group stages 2 years ago as well, in fact. Both qualified from the group, but Paraguay were the winners that day. A 1-0 success thanks to a goal from Roque Santa Cruz, who is one of many of their star names absent. Demara, Arce, Ayala, Cardoso. He, of course, Santa Cruz's strike partner, so the associations have had to chop and change.
They look a very effective unit, don't they, Paraguay? I've been very impressed with them. I think that, given the fact that we've talked already, they find themselves second in the World Cup qualifying group, they may well be one of the favourites to win this tournament, you know.
Particularly now that Argentina are no longer in the mix. Deflecting off Del Solar.
I think the one thing, or one weakness I would say, is that because they have got into very good areas for the majority of this opening 30 minutes or so, is that they haven't really provided the necessary quality.
Del Solar trying to jab it through.
I think that's just that little edge that really does finish sides off, you know, if you can produce that telling ball into the middle, and certainly when you can exploit the ability of the likes of Ferreira.
Certainly Jorge Soto down the right-hand side for Peru has played in some dangerous crosses. And when Peru do get forward to support Lobaton, they're providing Paraguay with something to think about. This is Hidalgo. Trigo, lovely turn, lovely footwork. Temponi shot.
That was very good defending, because Mucho Trigo has clearly got very good footwork indeed, looking to really go at this Paraguay defensive rear guard, and you've got to be very, very careful not to either give free kicks or penalties away.
Fair to say, Brian, that Paraguay have always been known for the quality of their defending. If you think back to France '98, of course they were only knocked out by the golden goal, with Laurent Blanc scoring in extra time for France.
Yeah, they were excellent, and you know, we have seen those defensive qualities here this evening. I think, you know, they look very well organised, and again, just look at the wide areas they're exploiting.
Oh, and they've been caught by Canizar again. The ball's still alive for Paraguay, and Ibanez is forced to make a fine save.
Well, I can't believe that Peru haven't changed it. They really are getting caught time and time again in those wide areas, and it was Moreno that was very nearly on target, and once again, goalkeeper Ibanez coming to the aid of this Peru defensive unit, but it's disappointing for Paraguay. They haven't turned their possession into goal, because they certainly are the better side.
Naive defensively at times. They've seen the threat from Canizar in particular, and Hayo down that left flank, and once or twice they've let them go.
Well, they've seen enough of it. That's why I'm a little bit disappointed in Uribe, the coach, because you know, you've really got to analyse situations like that and think, well, we just cannot allow it to carry on happening, because time and time again, either on the left-hand side in particular or the right-hand side, they are being exposed.
Ibanez now with a clutch of saves that have kept Peru level at one apiece in this contest. Trigo looking for Jorge Soto once more. Canizar doing his defensive duties that time. Solar back out for Jorge Soto. It's way too long for Lobaton. goes through. El Solar. Oh, that's a clever, neat ball. Beautifully done. Oh, it would have been a fantastic goal had they managed to get the contact.
That was a fabulous ball, wasn't it, from Del Solar inside the full-back. He looked certainly very much of a high-quality player in that midfield area, especially when he gets time and room. He can exploit sides with that wonderful passing ability with his left foot.
The referee has been very quick to clamp down on any tackles from behind. Robles, the man on the end of that one.
You can certainly see the intent of the defender there, can't you? And Robles certainly much feeling the force of Hidalgo.
Deflection kindly through for Ibanez.
Again, though, Steve, just that lack of quality in the final third, just letting Paraguay down at the moment.
Peru will be back in Colombia for their next World Cup qualifier. Their final group matches against Uruguay, Venezuela, Argentina, Bolivia. Sassi. Same culprit. Hidalgo, this time on Alvarenga.
So we're going to have to be very careful because we don't expect the referee to be too lenient, and Alvarenga getting a crunching tackle towards his left ankle. It really only gives Paraguay another opportunity to get that ball at the danger area, a chance for the centre-halves to get forward, add a little bit of weight to the attack.
Roberts on the outlet here for Peru. He's happy to try and take on Cáceres as well.
It looks a problem, doesn't he, for Paraguay at times. He's played up there on his own. It's very difficult, even when you've got a lot of possession, but certainly against Paraguay they haven't had too much of that, Peru. But Lobaton looks a threat. He's got his goal. He's clearly gained a lot of confidence from that, and it's an opportunity for him to make a real stake for a place in this side.
Plenty of players forward here for Paraguay. This is dangerous. Ibanez makes the save initially, and somehow they fail to score.
Well, how many times have we been talking about those wide areas, and how many times have we talked about Paraguay exploiting that? Peru have got a real weakness, and again, getting into the danger area. So fortunate here that really Paraguay did not capitalise on what was a gilt-edged opportunity. The goalkeeper can only really palm.
Well, Morinigo was certainly ready to pounce, and they might still score here. But the shot lashed over the bar by Morinigo once again.
Well, I just don't think they can afford to keep missing opportunities like this. Morinigo having, again, a great opportunity already to have finished Peru off.
That's Peru's ball. Well, playing with a lone striker up front, I guess I always think back to Mark Hughes at Manchester United. He was so good at doing that as a lone striker. He'd hold the ball up and allow other midfield players to come through.
Yeah, but the difficulty that, I mean, you're talking about Lobaton at the moment, the difficulty he's got is he's a different type of player. He's a player that's got a lot of pace, Steve, and I think he's really looking for the ball to play in behind. At the moment, Peru really can't get the ball far enough forward to really allow him to use his pace to good ability.
Well, one or two free kicks now starting to disrupt the flow of the game.
Paraguay could have had this game finished. They really could. I mean, they have created, I guess, 4 or 5 very, very good chances indeed. And at this level, you've got to take them. And that, I just think, is a missing ingredient about Paraguay.
The referee from Argentina decides that's worthy of a Paraguay free kick. Alvarenga, Isasi both stood over this one for Paraguay. Inigo taking his place inside the penalty box. Yet more work for the Liga de Ibanez.
Well, certainly disappointing. You do expect greater quality from free kicks. Really Peru giving away unnecessary set pieces to Paraguay in important areas. And the one thing I have to say about Peru is from corners and free kicks in general, they've defended better than in open play, amazingly.
Isasi has played with Sao Paulo in Brazil. You'd probably expect a slightly higher standard of free kick from him. Here's Soto. Charged down initially. They had that when the goal went in from Lobaton. Suddenly they looked a different side altogether, but Paraguay have definitely got them on the back foot now.
Yeah, they have. They've been the better side. I don't think anybody could have any complaints. Certainly not Peru. But you know, Lobaton, has got that little bit of strength up front to cause problems, and Paraguay certainly can't neglect that. But at the moment, there's far too much time and room given to the Paraguay players in midfield in wide areas, time and time again. They really have done extremely well, and just that final cross, that final opportunity that's just missing, that certainly would have seen Paraguay at least 2 or 3 ahead in this game.
Minutes to half-time. 1-1 between Peru and Paraguay in this opening Group B fixture in the 40th Copa America. Here's Hidalgo.
Well, this is an important 5 minutes as well, because it's an opportunity if Peru can keep the ball in the Paraguay defensive third, they can get in at half-time. Uribe, the coach, can sort 1 or 2 problem areas out, and they certainly have got that defensively, Peru. And perhaps we may well see a different side in the second half.
I wonder whether he might change it tactically, as well as in terms of personnel. But here's Alvarenga. Robles. All technically very gifted players. You tend to find in South America they spend so much time working on their skills. Paraguay, in fact, were the first to arrive at the Pascual Guerrero Stadium, and there was a rather secretive point in training yesterday where they were training in just their socks without their boots on. Again, working on skills, and almost makes me think of the beach football and all that sort of thing. But
yeah, I can just see that 4 inches of mud in Stockport in February, can't you?
Exactly, yeah. Yet another Paraguay corner. The organisation of this Peruvian defence has been a little bit suspect. They've at least half cleared it this time.
Well, again, I think that they have coped very well from corners and free kicks, and that will be a source of encouragement. I just think tactically, at the moment, they are getting exposed in wide areas, and that's just something the coach is going to have to sort out.
Alvarenga. Looking with Enciso. Well, that was a little bit late, I think.
Probably a good 25 minutes later.
That was almost in the Brazil-Mexico match.
Well, he almost invited it, didn't he? Alvarenga, very clever play. He's almost said to the 2 defenders, come and get the ball, and as they have, and launched him into Rosette, he's just nicked the ball away from them. But it's a wonderful skill, isn't it? He just draws defenders in, and that's wild.
The ball was nowhere to be seen. Hidalgo. Lobaton. Encouraging Hidalgo back into the play. El Solar. looking for width on that right flank with Jorge Soto. Just looking for that extra bit of penetration, Peru. Hidalgo looking long.
I think certainly that's one glimmer of hope for Peru. When they have got forward, they have shown good ability. Del Solar has certainly impressed in midfield. Uchitrigo has had one or two opportunities to show his pace on that right-hand side. Lobaton we've already talked about, and Tempone has certainly caught the eye, but defensively they are struggling to cope with Paraguay at times.
And here is Tempone. Advantage played by the referee, and it was a good piece of decision-making by the man in the middle.
Well, he had a real dilemma, didn't he, because it would have really set Peru up in a fantastic area of the field, and that's the booking that we saw moments earlier for the tackle against Alvarenga.
The quality of the refereeing is always something that's very closely scrutinised. But our man from Argentina, Mr. Sanchez, has so far kept things well controlled. Final minute of the first half. Paraguay have certainly benefited from good play down the flanks. There's a minute of added time at the end of the first half here. And Paraguay finished the first half with a flourish. Promising, well blocked. So Peru having taken the lead through Abel Lobaton after Tempone's header had hit the bar, that after just a quarter of an hour. But the Paraguay response was swift. Ferreira with the equaliser. Peru have conceded a host of corners and free kicks.
Well, again, another opportunity on that left-hand side. Canazar can't quite find the quality that he's looking for, but well, how many times have I talked about this in the first 45 minutes, Steve? Into that danger area, real threat. Peru have struggled to cope with it.
And there goes the half-time whistle at the Pascal Guerrero Stadium in Cali. Half-time in Group B. It's Peru 1, Paraguay 1. Welcome back for this opening Group B match in Copa America with a half-time score of Peru 1, Paraguay 1. Paraguay set to bring on Julio González Ferreira. Number 11, Ferreira, the goal scorer for them after Lobaton had given Peru the lead. Slightly against the run of play, it has to be said as well, but the contest has been open and entertaining, and we just wonder, Brian, what Peru will do about these threats from Paraguay down the flanks.
Well, you can only assume that they're going to have to change it. They're a long time coming out of the dressing room, so clearly Uribe, the coach, is having final words, but the certainly very large contingent of fans from both sides, and of course sprinkled with Mexicans as well. It's been an entertaining game, as you've rightly said, Steve. I think it's a good balance to it. Paraguay, I feel, should be at least 2 or 3 ahead, and hopefully for them they don't rue those missed chances, because they have been the better side. They just need to be that little bit more clinical in the last third, and they're some unit.
Peru certainly keeping Paraguay waiting here. The Peruvian coach, incidentally, Julio César Uribe, he's 43 years of age. He stepped up from the under-20 ranks, and he in fact is the youngest coach at this tournament. His opposite number, Sergio Markarian from Uruguay, in fact, the Paraguayan coach. He was fairly typically in South American football in a period of turmoil earlier in the year. Resigned briefly back in February after criticism, but He was restored as the national coach. He's also a manager who's won the league in Peru. The change for Paraguay, González Ferreira replacing Robles, who was operating down the right side of midfield.
Well, he took a couple of crunching tackles, didn't he, Robles, and perhaps he's feeling the full effects of that, but González Ferreira looks quite a distinguished character out there, and I guess given the height advantage that he's certainly going to possess, and Paraguay might just go that little bit more direct in this second half.
Paraguay in the red and white stripes, blue shorts, kicking from right to left in the second period.
Karin, the coach, would have been instilling into his players at half-time really the benefit of carrying on getting forward in wide areas, but really just reminding them of their responsibilities when they get into those important areas. They have got to try and finish Peru off.
The playing surface looks extremely good. They've actually had to import all the turf from the USA, a process that they went through last year, but it looks to be a very good playing surface.
Given all the problems that we had coming into this tournament, it's so far so good. An excellent opening evening of football, and again that's being carried over tonight.
Sanabria looking for Caniza, this very useful outlet for Paraguay down the left flank. Struve, one of the Paraguay players, has gone down off the ball there. Morinigo.
Clearly something happening off the ball. The referee certainly didn't see it. I think that, to be fair to Peru, they were the team to get the ball out of play as quickly as possible to allow Morinigo time and attention.
Just to put things in context, if you look at the populations of the two respective countries, Peru is massive by comparison to Paraguay. Paraguay only has a population of 5 million, Peru 27. And yet Paraguay have certainly got their act together in world football rather better these days.
Yeah, they look extremely organised. You know, you talked about their success, if you like, in the World Cup in France in '98, where they were very unfortunate to go out to, of course, the eventual winners, France. But they have looked solid, they've looked organised, they clearly have a way of playing. And I think the good thing about this particular side is they have great belief in themselves, and that's important about any team, Steve. You know, if you've got belief, you know that you have got a tried and trusted system of playing, and that has served them well so far this evening.
Typically in the opening exchanges of a tournament like this, you expect teams to be fairly cagey. It's as if there may well be another change imminent as well for Paraguay, but it's been seen so many times before that if a team loses its opening game in a tournament like this, they're always chasing thereafter.
I think the one thing that may well benefit Peru is that, you know, a lot of sides do lose their rhythm when you do have the interval, and it's certainly very difficult for teams, and Paraguay may well find that in the second half, just to pick that up again.
Del Solar shot! That was a good try.
Well, he's shown a lot of ability. I'm very impressed, and we talked about him in the first half. He's got an educated left foot, but here's this opportunity now for Paraguay to make that substitution, and it's Morinigo, the player that has gone off, who took a crunching tackle moments earlier.
Silvio Garay is the player coming on here for Paraguay. Two changes in quick succession. He's been in the World Cup squad for Paraguay as Garay, but he's not so far actually seen any action. Part of the Cerro Porteño squad once more, who wrapped up the Apertura title recently.
Well, this, you guess, won't help Paraguay neither, because they've had to make two changes, one at half-time, one just after half-time. We talked about that rhythm that they need to acquire again following what was a reasonably successful first half, and that'll certainly be disrupted with the changes that had to be made.
New squads of players finding their rhythm, finding their momentum, Finding an understanding most of all. They'll certainly hope, both these sides, that they don't end up in penalty shootouts later in the tournament. Both of them lost that way in the quarterfinals 2 years ago. Peru to Mexico, Paraguay were defeated by Uruguay.
Well, it was interesting to note the comments of Macarin, the coach of Paraguay, coming into this tournament. He said, you know, he isn't bothered if they go out in the first round, and maybe that's gamesmanship on his part, but it really has allowed the pressure to be off his players, and I think they've responded to that.
Jorge Soto. Trigo. Lobaton. And Paraguay keeping it tight at the back. Only 6 nations have won Copa America, Peru and Paraguay, 2 of them, both with 2 successes apiece. Argentina and Uruguay, the 2 most successful nations, 14 victories each. Brazil, curiously, only back with 6 victories. It sounds rather surprising when you bear in mind how Brazil have dominated world football in the last few decades. Jorge Soto wants it played. He's got it. Chance to cross it in as well. It's a great looking ball in.
Well, he's delivered great quality, hasn't he, from the right-hand side, Jorge Soto. And it's important that you do get that sort of delivery. I know Bobby and Craig were talking about it at half-time, and it was a fantastic header from Tempone that came from across from the right-hand side, and it was very nearly a similar combination.
Well, Hidalgo was looking to pounce, and Isasi was there to cover. Tempone's cross. Well brought down by Hayo. Well, for Peru, their last 2 Copas have ended with defeat against Mexico, and their final group game this year is also against Mexico. I wonder if that's a bad omen for them. Tavarelli and Isasi clearing there for Paraguay. Salah snapping up the heels. Caniza. Stolen back here by Lobaton, and a long-range effort.
Well, that's a great shame, really, because it's a great opportunity, but Tempone there trying his luck from all of 30 yards, but wonderful closing down. I think already you can see the benefits of that tactical team talk. I think Uribe has got into his players. He's talked about the need for closing down, working that little bit harder when they haven't got the ball, and they very nearly gained the benefit.
Sure, that fairly quick equaliser for Paraguay helped to settle any nerves as well that might have been creeping in at that particular juncture. Gets it back from Mucho Trigo. This is Hidalgo. Push in the back. Of those, and the referees at this stage of course have to impose themselves not only on the match but also the tournament. They're really setting the tone for the rest of the tournament.
I actually think that the referees handled the game very well so far. Sometimes it's very difficult, you know, when you are trying to referee games of this nature, because there's so many histrionics go on. It's very difficult to distinguish between what is a foul and what isn't.
Stroke it around at the back, playing with the 3 centre-backs of Salazar, Pajuelo and Jose Soto. One of the 2 Soto brothers, number 14 wide on the right for them. This is Mucho Trigo. Looking for Lobaton, but immediately surrounded by a clutch of Paraguay players. This is the substitute, González Pereira.
Certainly Peru seem to have just upped their game a gear or 2. They looked a better side now. They are defending better, and I can't really recall either Isase or Canazar getting forward into wide areas, and similar to the way they did in the first half.
They're playing some lovely crisp football here. This is very promising for Peru. Good looking cross, Tabarelli gets his hand to it.
Well, it's a wonderful flowing move, really. It had all the attributes of a great Peruvian move. You know, there was a good 6, 7, 8 passes, and it was played crisply, it was played positively, and they're beginning to enjoy themselves at the moment.
Del Solar combining with Jorge Soto. Noticeable that Lucho Trigo has made himself much more available alongside Lobaton. I wonder whether Uribe has also addressed the possibility of Lobaton being a little bit isolated at times.
Yeah, I think, and again, there's another example, Steve, of the way that Peru have certainly closed down whenever possible. That's something they didn't do in the first half. They really gave Paraguay far too much respect. It's a different game all of a sudden because they're getting close, and now when they have got the ball, they're keeping better possession.
Salazar. The confidence to take on Canizar.
He's got a left hook for his troubles as well, by the way. And, the referee certainly wasn't going to have none of it, and Canizar, that we saw really ruling the roost in the first 45 minutes, getting forward at will, creating all sorts of danger. It's now become a different game for him. And this is the run, and well, there's the right elbow, right arm.
Well, what has the referee done here? Canizar is walking.
Well, this really is a massive blow, and well, although he has raised his arm, no, but it isn't an elbow. It isn't intent in the sense that, you know, you see time and time again players leading with their elbow. He's actually almost slapped him across his face, and
well, Tempone provides the cross, and Peru regain the lead.
well,
It's Sanabria who's come up trumps for Peru.
well, it's a set piece that really they just don't deal with, do they? Paraguay, and Paolo is the player that benefits and shows off his t-shirt to anybody that cares to look at that. But really, this is poor defending. You know, we talked about how well disciplined Paraguay had been in the first 45 minutes, and really they just don't get to grips with a set piece. It comes into that danger area. The goalkeeper really doesn't get too much of a sighter on it, and Tempone with his educated left foot, there you can see a little bit too deep, and Paolo is the player to profit and benefit. To towering header. He really does find the mark with an exquisite piece of finishing.
Well, he's played in all the World Cup qualifiers for Peru, and an excellent finish that time from Juan Pojuelo. Peru back in front, and that half-time team talk from Coach Uribe certainly seems to have done the trick.
Oh, they look far better, Steve, they really do. Well, they really failed to hang on when they got their lead in the first half against the run of play. Now it is a real crucial 5 or 10 minutes for them. But Paraguay look a shadow of the side that we saw in the first 45 minutes. They really are having a struggle out there. They've had to make changes, of course. One at half-time, one just after half-time, and of course now down to 10 men. Canazar, who was sent off, of course, which led to that free kick that Tempone fired into the box. And a wonderful header for Paolo, and more problems yet again for Paraguay. They're having to change things.
Alfredo Amarilla is the player coming on in place of Stanislav Struwe. There you see how that good cross from Tempone, guided in towards goal, was met powerfully by Pajuelo. So that's 3 changes made now by Paraguay.
Well, this is a problem now for Macarena, and how much the game changes. You know, we did talk about, wondered whether Paraguay would rue those missed chances, and now they find themselves 2-1 down to 10 men, chasing the game and really facing a better Peru side. This is a more organised team, and there's seriously a suspicion of handball in the box. Perhaps came to him very late indeed. It claims for a penalty to Paraguay.
Suddenly things all going wrong for Paraguay. In the space of just a few seconds, reduced to 10 men. Canizar off. And then that second goal for Peru from Pajuelo.
Well, Amarillo has come up onto the field of play now, has taken the place of Canizar on this left-hand side. Paraguay have just got to organise themselves now. They've just got to regroup and show a little bit more spirit than perhaps they're showing at the moment. They go back into the game in the first half, and the question's being asked, can they do it again?
Well, it didn't take them long in the first half, but at the moment it's Peru making the running. Hidalgo playing it short. Jorge Soto. I'm sure Trigo was looking for the little through ball, but it was well read by Paraguay. It's Del Solar making space perhaps for the shot. It's a good try. He's not held it, and what a chance for Peru and Lobaton to add to their advantage.
Well, it's that man again, Del Solar. He really has got so much quality, just stepping field and defenders with great ease. And this is his strike from a good 25-30 yards out, and where Lobaton benefited in the first half when the ball came off the bar that time, it was a save from the goalkeeper. You really would have expected him to finish that, and that really would have set just that little bit of gap, that distance between Peru and Paraguay.
Certainly a difficult one for Tavarelli to deal with. Bounced just in front of him from that long-range effort from Del Solar. You sense the atmosphere in the stadium is changing as well.
Well, I think it will certainly suit the Mexicans and the Brazilians, that the fact that Paraguay, who will be the favourites or one of the favourites of this group to go through to the next stages, and they find themselves now 2-1 down.
Well, on world rankings, you'd have expected Brazil and Paraguay to be the 2 top teams in this group. But Peru, perhaps like Chile last night, showing that there's maybe not so much to choose between these South American nations.
Well, I always find with teams like Peru, you know, see that they're very much a confident side. You know, when things are going well, they look fantastic. When things aren't going well, they look a shambles, and they looked a shambles in the first half. They got away with it because there really was that distinct lack of quality in the final third, and if Paraguay could have found that extra edge, you know, they really could have had the game sewn up. But it is different now in the second half. They find themselves ahead. The coach now will be absolutely delighted with their performance.
Well, he will, and he'll be anxious that his team can build on this. The World Cup finals are certainly beyond their reach, you'd have to say, at this point. Jorge Soto for Lucio Trigo. Lobaton. There's the man who scored what at the time was Paraguay's equaliser, Ferreira. And Ferreira's continued his run. They might not need him. Garay is there as well. Hidalgo keeps him at bay momentarily. Oh, it's an equalising goal for Paraguay, and it's that man again.
Oh, this is awful defending. It really is. You know, we talked about Peru. They had to hang on. They had to show more discipline. And Ferreira, who got Paraguay's goal, makes it another equaliser, makes it another goal for him. That's 2 in this match. Wonderful start to the tournament, but again benefiting from an excellent cross from the right-hand side. But just look at the marking. It really is very poor indeed. And at this level, Steve, you're going to get exposed, you're going to get exploited, and you cannot give quality strikers that time, that sort of room, in the way that Peru did. And I've got to say, number 14, Jorge Sote, won't really have distinguished himself with his coach or his fellow players.
I just wonder there, Brian, as well, whether maybe Salazar had been drawn in to mark the substitute, González Ferreira. And Jorge Soto was a little bit slow to read that danger, as you rightly say, but I think Salazar was possibly the man who should have picked him up. But Ferreira stealing in and getting his second of the game and pulling the 10 men of Paraguay back level with Peru.
Well, I think one of the things that you do expect, Steve, is the defensive unity. If one of your centre-halves does get pulled out of position, you know, your full-back has got to cover around, and Jorge Sote didn't do that. You know, he would have been able to read that particular danger. It was a wonderful cross from the right-hand side. No real pressure put on the crosser, and certainly no pressure put on the player that finished it off, Ferreira.
It's exactly the area of weakness that was identified in that first half for Peru. And suddenly it's been exposed once more. Peru, though, continuing their progress, the referee waving play on.
Well, certainly, tournament's not going to be short of goals, is it?
Is that 11 now? Abacus at the ready, folks. Garay's cross. Salazar's header controlled by Del Solar. Period now for Paraguay, maybe just to settle. Well, that was a wonderfully inventive piece of play, but the flag was up for offside.
It was very clever, wasn't it?
Tony, the man going down. Another injury here for Peru. But, so far, no substitutes used by them. 3 used for Paraguay. Later on, of course, we have a really mouth-watering prospect to look forward to, the favourites, Brazil against Mexico. That's a little bit later on tape. You don't want to miss that one. Well, another break in play, and I wonder who this might favour most, Brian, because a little break in play at this point in time. Sergio Marcarian, the Uruguayan coach of Paraguay, he's seen his team come back twice now.
Yeah, I mean, they've shown good character, they've shown good spirit. I think he'll be disappointed in the manner in which they've conceded the goals, and I think he'll also be disappointed that this game isn't out of Peru's reach so far. But you know, if they can create opportunities like that, he knows in his number 11 Ferreira he will get goals. We've seen one with his favoured left foot, one with his head. But, you know, I can't help thinking that is poor marking. Jorge Sote really ought to have covered round.
Well, here we go, the substitutions about to be made by Peru. Number 25 is Pedro Ascoy. And number 10 is the coach's son. Let's just see who he's going to take off. Jorge Soto is one. Presumably Tempone is going to be the other, is he? No. Let's raise the number 25 there, because number 25 is Pedro Ascoy. And here's the manager's son, just 19 years old. His inclusion in the squad came as something of a surprise. He's often a reserve with his club Deportivo Maldonado in the provinces of Uruguay. He's been playing second division football in Mexico as well, but it helps to have contact in this business, I guess.
What are you trying to suggest, Steve?
Well, let's hope his ability matches the potential. Solar, key figure for Peru. Very trusty left foot on him. Comes in towards Lobaton. Sanabria just allowing that one to run.
It wasn't a bad ball into the danger area, but I guess electing to make those two substitutions gives fresh legs. Paraguay are struggling from a fitness point of view, down to 10 men. It's very warm out there, and if they have got a significant tournament ahead of them in the way of games, and they're very competitive games indeed. But Peru now will want to get stronger in this period towards the end of the game. Almost going into the quarter shortly. But, they'll be disappointed, having had the lead twice. I know they didn't play particularly well in the first half. They looked a better side in the second. They seem to have quashed the threat that Paraguay was showing in wide areas. But some slack marking that's cost them that equalising goal from Ferreira.
Well, again, cut out by Peru, and off they go with a man advantage. Less than 20 minutes for Peru or Paraguay to claim maximum points in this opening fixture. Positive running as well. That was well marshalled at the back. There's another possible handball, but also a possible nudge in the back on González Ferreira.
Well, he said that both sides are going for the win, but of course both sides will not want to lose their opening game. It's imperative that you get something out of this first match.
Cáceres, Sanabria both making runs here. Cáceres into the near post. Peru with a chance to counter. Slotted in place of Canizel on this left-hand side for Paraguay.
I guess at this stage, you know, the fact that Paraguay are down to 10 men, they've got back into the game with that equaliser. Perhaps the point will suit them more than Peru. Peru will probably feel that they want to go on and win this. They should go on and win this.
Trigo shot.
Tamarelli's furious, isn't he, with his back four, because no one really went to close Mucho Trigo down. He's got that ability to run at defenders, and he tries his luck from 20 yards or so, and that isn't far away.
Well, Mucho Trigo with the shot from distance. He's currently without a club at the moment. He's been playing with Ionikos in Greece. One or two incidents which are starting to concern the Peruvian coach, I'm sure. Look at this, González Ferreira. And there's the use of the arm, but was that really malicious, Mark?
Well, I mean, when you look at the sending off from Canizar, you'd have to say that perhaps González Ferreira is quite fortunate, but I think one of the pleasing aspects is that whenever anybody has gone down injured, no matter which side has got possession of the ball, they've been very, very quick indeed to put the ball out of play and allow the player who is injured time to get attention from the physiotherapist.
It's quite a duel between those two. Trigo, another time ahead of him. Salazar. And again. Garay, the substitute for Paraguay, looking to release González Ferreira. José Soto is the man marking. Great play by González Ferreira. And for a moment, well, you just sense that that might just give Paraguay the lead.
Well, he's given Paraguay something a little bit different, hasn't he, in the second half? You know, he's a strapping lad. He's, what, 6'2", 6'3", and he's got a lot of ability about him. At times he looks slightly lumbering, but when he gets into his stride, as we've just seen there, it was a particularly good opportunity. He made an excellent run in that wide right area, got the ball down, and he's quite happy to take defenders on.
Tell you what's also quite noticeable about the two squads, really, and that's the lack of many players who play their club football in other countries. So many of them are home-based.
Well, it's certainly pleasing to see, and I think that when you look at the likes of Argentina and Brazil, it tends to affect them more, doesn't it? You know, when you see the likes of Rivaldo for Brazil and Batistuta for Argentina, and they are playing their trade in countries like Spain and Brazil and of course England these days.
It's very much a shop window for all of these players, this game being beamed all around the world, and managers not only in the UK but in all the major leagues will be watching very closely.
Well, it has become a very much a global game these days, and I'm sure there'll be scouts from a majority of the Premier League teams out there at the moment in Colombia, and certainly paying due attention to the coverage that we're bringing at the moment, because there is a lot of skillful and exciting football. One of the things that you've got to remember is, have these players got the temperament to play at such a high intensity pace that we see in the Premier League week in, week out?
Deflecting off Del Solar. Trigo forward this time. As the flag up is a look across from Lobaton, anxiously to the assistant referee.
I think at times Peru are very guilty, aren't they, of being over-elaborate. You would have expected Richard Trigo, as that ball was set up for him on the edge of the box, he really just had to come on and smash that with his right foot, but really just trying to be too clever.
Well, Lobaton is being replaced now. He's had a major influence on this match with the opening goal after 16 minutes. His place being taken by Roberto Olsen, who is also an out-and-out striker who plays with Alianza Lima, one of the big clubs in the capital.
Certainly very noticeable when Lobaton had that opportunity. I know he was offside, but he looked very tired, didn't he, in the way that he took it. And clearly the coach recognises that, Uribe, that he has at times worked tirelessly for his side. It's been very difficult for him, certainly in the opening 45 minutes, but he was up there on his own. He led the line extremely well. He got an important goal for Peru.
Peru on the attack once again, and Musha Trigo is being heavily involved. Del Solar lining up a left foot shot, deflected and in! What an amazing goal! It's Del Solar for Peru, and for the third time in the match, Peru edge in front.
Well, it's been an incredible game, hasn't it? It's been a real seesaw factor, and as you've rightly said, Steve, Peru find themselves ahead once again for the third time in this football game. And Del Solar, we've talked about that educated left foot, he gets lucky, there's no two ways about that. I think it's a deflection, certainly from the number 4, Gare, the substitute for Paraguay. The goalkeeper can do nothing about that as the ball loops over his head, but when he's in this position, and it's pleasing to see him strike on goal, because at times they do try and be too intricate.
Well, he certainly had a couple of sighters, Jose Del Solar. Well, as you rightly say, Brian, deflecting off Gare, and poor old Tavarelli could do absolutely nothing about that, completely stranded. Mentioning about players playing their trade abroad, and well, we've got yet more controversy here, and I think Del Solar is the man in trouble.
Well, it'll be interesting to see that again, because the Paraguay player was almost looking at it, and this is where the referee's got to control the game. Tempers are now boiling over. Paraguay bitterly disappointed. They found themselves down in this game. And, well, Del Solar, who was the hero, it was a wild challenge by him on Ferreira, the player, of course, who's got both goals for Paraguay. But Del Solar now having to take that long walk to the dressing room. Both sides reduced to 10 men, and with 10-11 minutes left in this football game, the game has been robbed and deprived of one of its better players. But that certainly was wild. I'm just wondering how much contact. There was certainly lots of intent on Del Solar's part, but certainly Ferreira was looking for it. And,
he did seem to go slightly before the challenge came in, but as you say, the intent was clearly there.
Yeah, it was, and I think that what persuaded the referee to give Del Solar that red card, and such a great shame because he has had an impact on this game. He's shown wonderful ability with his left foot at periods when they were chasing the game in the first half, and the second half when Peru have dominated at times for large periods, he's been the hub of their best play.
He's just had a relegation season with Mechelen in Belgium, and well, in the space of just a few seconds from hero to villain. Here's his goal, which deflected off Garay.
I don't think anybody would deprive him of that being his goal, but there you can see the goalkeeper, Tavarelli, so disappointed. He knows as soon as that ball is deflected up off the right leg of Garay, he's going to have no chance with it.
Still hope for Paraguay.
Such an intriguing contest this, hasn't it? You know, we've been served up some terrific football, at times some woeful defending. And,
I'll tell you one thing you can't say. You can't say that the Copa America is uneventful and unexciting.
Well, I think the pleasing thing is, and the majority of the South American sides now have that real willingness to attack and win football matches, and that wasn't the case, was it, some years ago? You know, we used to get served up the traditional 0-0, very cynical fouls, but it seems to be quality, quality, quality.
Well, we were keeping a goal count for the tournament a little earlier. I think we should maybe keep a sending off count as well now.
Well, we did expect this Argentinian referee, Mr. Sanchez, to make his mark on this game, and he has been pretty lenient, but he's felt certainly red cards have warranted both teams.
Here go Peru. Ascoy. Frustrated with the delivery. Two red cards tonight. There were two yesterday on day one of Copa America. We've had 12 goals, 4 red cards. This is only game 3. Salazar's clearance. Possibilities here. Certainly Canizar, who was in that left-back area for Paraguay, caused Peru all sorts of problems earlier on. Maria, who's come on effectively to cover for him now that Canizar's been dismissed, has struggled to make the same degree of impact. But I think that's partly credit to Peru for the way they've tightened up.
Well, and the fact that they were down to 10 men, and you know, your fullbacks, you're not really looking for them to get ahead of the ball too often when you know that you are a man less. But now it is even, Stevens. They're both down to 10 men apiece. But it's a great shame because the game's been robbed of two of its, I guess, high-quality players, two players that have made an impact on this game. Canizar, we saw time and time again getting on that left-hand side in the first half. And certainly since the interval, Del Solar has had a major impact on this match.
Paraguayan captain Juan Cáceres was clearly getting a little bit rattled by this frustrating scoreline that Paraguay face at the moment. Peru won't be best pleased with that pass either. 6 minutes to go.
Well, this is the important time of keeping possession. You know, tired legs, mentally exhausting. But the fact that both sides are down to 10, and you're just really looking to keep the ball, let the other side chase.
Well, again, we've seen Peru pegged back twice and have the advantage a third time. Trigo has certainly stamped his mark on the game, particularly in the second half. Hidalgo. Back for Hidalgo again for Peru. That's gone behind for a corner.
Well, he certainly looked better and better as the game has worn on, Steve. I was very disappointed with him, especially in the opening 25 minutes, but this is the important moment as far as Peru are concerned. 3-2 ahead. That deflected chance from Del Solar that flew high and above Tavarelli. He had no chance whatsoever.
Well, they've got the advantage of Peru. Can they add to it now? Another goal now would surely kill off Paraguay. González Ferreira just bringing Amarilla back into the action.
That's where I feel Peru have got the grips in the second half, Steve. They're closing down. It's been far, far better than it was in the opening period. And then with their ability to pass the ball around, they've made Paraguay chase the game more.
This has to be right from Peru at the moment, make Paraguay run for it. Jose Soto trying to thread one through down the flank. Massive dent to Paraguay's hopes of qualification, but we were saying earlier, Brian, that the coach has really been playing down their chances in this tournament.
Yeah, he has, and it's quite interesting because they would have been one of the favourites to go out of this group and progress further. You know, when you look at the other two teams, Brazil and Mexico, Mexico have had a disastrous time of late. We witnessed that in their performance against England, didn't we, in May? And of course Brazil are in transition. They've got a new coach, and their major players are missing from this tournament. We know they're skillful, we know that they possess bags and bags of ability, but can the coach organise them? Can he knock them into shape, and can he gain the confidence of winning an event such as this?
Well, the game that follows this one will have quite a lot to live up to. Brazil against Mexico will be coming up a little later for you. In the meantime, Peru leading Paraguay by 3-2. And like Chile's victory against Ecuador yesterday, perhaps something of an upset. Colombia's victory against Venezuela was certainly to the form book.
Well, Peru are going to have to be careful, Steve. They can't afford to give free kicks away, especially with the likes of González Ferreira. Just noticed that Sanabria has come forward now. It's the last opportunity for Paraguay to get another equaliser. They've done it on 2 occasions. Can they make it a third?
That was well defended by Peru. Less than 2 minutes left for Paraguay. A sense of urgency now for Amarilla. Smothering that one. Intelligently playing it off Amarilla to win a throw, and clearly in no hurry either. Salazar to take this one.
Well, it would be a building block, wouldn't it, for Peru? You know, they have had a very, very difficult time over the last few years. A new coach in the shape of Arebe. We talked about that morale, almost mental victory, if you like, when they drew away in Brazil. And if they can add another scalp, and an important scalp in the shape of Paraguay now to that list, then, you know, I'm sure they'll go from strength to strength.
Ciso running out of pitch. Bypasses Amarilla. Here's Enciso. Good looking cross as well towards Ferreira. He's been more subdued, certainly in the second half. He made a number of very promising runs down that right-hand side for Paraguay early on.
Yeah, I think that's been a disappointing feature, but Uribe, the coach, in our view at the moment, had to change things at half-time. He has. You know, I talked about the three centre-halves for Peru being far too narrow, and that's something that they seem to have tried. The full-backs haven't had the joy and the success that they did in the first 45 minutes for Paraguay.
Well, 5 minutes to be added. The second half has been eventful. 2 dismissals and a number of scything tackles flying in. Paraguay's Uruguayan coach, understandably a little concerned, but he will sense that with 5 minutes to go, there's a good opportunity here for Paraguay. Garay, the substitute. Looking for González Ferreira. Well dealt with by Pajuelo, whose second goal for Peru came at a crucial time for them. Straight after the dismissal of Canizat. Garay hoisting it on. Free kick.
Well, I think if Paraguay don't get anything out of this game, I'm sure they'll point to that first 45 minutes. We talked about it at the time, didn't we, when they had so many opportunities in good areas of the field. They didn't take advantage of it, they didn't punish Peru, and now with them losing the game 3-2 with a matter of 3 or 4 minutes to go, it would be a huge disappointment if they didn't get anything out of this game.
There's now to be one dramatic last turn in this contest. Oh, it's against the woodwork! Garay! It's 3-3! What an unbelievable finish to this match! But Garay, the substitute, in the right place at the right time. And this game has had just about everything. Magnificent entertainment. Goals aplenty. Plenty of controversy. And an equalising goal for Paraguay, who've come back for the 3rd time.
Well, once again, though, you know, delighted for Paraguay. Perhaps a lot of people will point to the fact they've deserved to get something out of this game. But Peru have failed to defend correctly. It's a terrific ball into the box, and it's a very adventurous header. Initially, I think it came off the head of González Ferreira. He is big, he is strong, but really, Peru just don't deal with this, and there you can see the header that crashes against the woodwork. They get a little bit fortunate, but Garay makes full advantage of that, and I guess for him it's a little bit of good fortune, because of course it was his deflection that put Peru ahead in this game. It was a strike from Del Salar that came off his right leg. This time it was his right foot scoring at the opposite end.
I wonder as well, Brian, whether had Garay not tucked that away when the header came back off the crossbar, was there a touch of handball perhaps off Pajuelo? It doesn't matter, it's 3-3.
They say this game never ceases to amaze you, and here's the opportunity again from Garay, and he makes no mistake whatsoever, much to the delight of his teammates. They've got out of jail in injury time, 2 or 3 minutes to go. Such delight, such celebrations.
Well, a dramatic end to the contest, and it's really had just about everything. The only thing we haven't had is a penalty.
Hang on, the game's not finished yet.
Sanabria. Oh, we've still got a minute and a half. There's time for maybe a couple more, isn't there?
Well, I just wonder whether both sides would settle for this, because we talked earlier, you don't want to lose your first match. It's so important to at least get a point.
Well, the disappointment, if it stays this way, will surely be greater for Peru, having had the lead 3 times. That really would have been too much to hope for, I think.
Well, we have been served up a treat, haven't we? But this, I guess, was about tenacity initially from González Ferreira. They have changed the emphasis of the attack since he's come on at half-time. He is big, he is lumbering, he's a threat. either from corners or free kicks, but it was a wonderful ball into the box, and full credit to him. He showed great willingness, great tenacity to get on the end of it. He was unfortunate with his header, but great delight to see his teammate Gary finish it off.
Well, 1-1 at half-time. Lobaton for Peru, then Ferreira for Paraguay. And then in the second half, the dismissal of Canizar, quickly followed by a free kick that found the head of Pajuelo to give Peru a 2-1 lead. Ferreira struck back to make it 2-2. Then Del Solar with that deflected long-range shot. Tavarelli completely stranded. And that is the full-time whistle. And that equalising goal from Gary near the death means that this thrilling contest comes to a close with the spoils shared. Full-time in Cali, Peru 3, Paraguay 3.
Well, Brazilian football really is in turmoil right now, but they are seeking a third successive Copa America triumph, and only Argentina have done that before in the 1940s. Luis Felipe Scolari is the fourth coach